Ladies and gentlemen, we are going officially to New Zealand! I've been in New Zealand for like 9 days. Now I'm gonna tell you all about it. I saw this sign in the airport, so then I kept sending it to Parkzer and saying, wee woo, if you look for the brown stink bug. Hello, Parkzer. Hello.
Douglas.
So actually, I don't know, maybe they'll end up watching this. I did see two people in New Zealand who recognized us. One was here as we were getting into the country through the passport check, which was funny. So I didn't know this. New Zealand has 2 islands. I mean, I knew this conceptually, but I didn't really know anything about, New Zealand much. So there's 2 islands, and we were there about a week, and we had to decide which one to go to. So of the 2 big rock pieces, the north one is more, I don't know what the word is, developed? Civilized? Civilized is not really the right word, but it has Auckland, which is like by far the biggest city in New Zealand. So this is like, an actual sort of proper city and everything. That's kind of the only one in New Zealand. There's also Wellington, which is the capital, but it's a lot smaller. And then the South Island has towns and stuff, but they're not that big. And so essentially, the really simple version is that the North Island is more like where people live, and then the South Island is more of like nice nature and whatnot. The South Island has like really crazy glaciers and like this thing called the Milford Sound, which is this crazy waterfall mountain thing, and all these different hikes and stuff you can do. And so this is a little more nature-y type of vibe. And so I think a lot of people, when they talk about like the really crazy nature in New Zealand, it is often the South Island. The North Island has a lot of crazy stuff too, but it's not as like dense. Bro went to the worst of the islands. Yeah, so look, here's the thing. As I learned more about it, everybody was basically like, you gotta go to the South Island. You gotta go to the South Island. It's so sick. The South Island has this and this and this. It's amazing. However, I kind of am more interested in like being able to stay at nicer places and have like modern comforts and stuff and not going on like a 4 or 5 day hike. Don't get me wrong. That's not just because I'm a total coward. It's also because I've done a lot of that in my life. Like I've like grown up in California where there's going to Yosemite and Lake Tahoe, and I've like hiked around, Oregon and Washington, and like I spent 2 weeks hiking to Mount Everest. And so like I've done a lot of nature stuff. And at this point in my life, I am more interested in seeing cities and like modern places and like staying in a nice hotel, for example. That is also in part because of my sleeping issues. I sleep a lot better in a hotel rather than like at a camping site or something. So that is like a fairly big factor. But yeah, I mean, you can call me a coward, and that's probably deserved. But I was like, you know what? I don't really want to go on like a 5-day hike where it's like just, camping and being out in nature for like 6 straight days. I don't really want that. I would actually
South Island big, nice, wow. Doug run from forest now. Doug like rock cave with comfy sleep. Doug soft like rabbit.
I'm not soft like a rabbit. It's just I'm an adult now, and I'm 33, and I don't want to like camp anymore. I don't want to fucking wake up at 6 a.m. to do another 10 hours of hiking for the 5th day in a row. I'm sorry. You can call me soft like a rabbit, but when I was honest with myself about the type of vacation I would rather do, it was like I would rather be able to stay in places that are actually kind of nice. Doug can't stay anywhere where they don't have cucumber water. I'm gonna be honest, it's really nice staying in nice hotels. Like I haven't stayed in nice hotels traditionally. This is like a recent thing, the past like 2 years, where I've been like, oh, when I travel, I can spend money and have a nice experience. And once I learned that you can do that and that you can spend money and stay at a nicer hotel and not the cheapest one that you can find, traveling's awesome. Like it's so great. So anyway, that's the context. But also, I realized that if we did Auckland, we could rent a car and we could hit a whole bunch of places around the island and get a big variety of stuff. My sense of what I saw was that with the South Island, you kind of have to pick a few things because they like involve a lot of travel time.
Doug old, not rabbit, no. Doug no like long walk now. Doug like stay in nice cave. Doug
yes.
Spent shiny rocks for fancy cave.
Yes.
Doug want ride fast beast. Doug big plan to see many places.
Yes, thank you. You don't need to justify it. Well, so the weird thing is like, okay, this is now a separate topic. I actually have a hard time spending money. I'm like my brain is so wired about being efficient and not spending money that it has been a new thing the past like 2 years of my life to be like, oh wait, I can spend money to make my life better. And I'll talk about this later with the plane tickets. We didn't fly economy. For the first time in my life, we didn't fly economy to New Zealand. We flew economy premium or something. And turns out that is not worth the extra money. You just have more legroom. But I was like, you know what? I'm gonna try spending money and like try to make the trip actually nice for myself. And then Parkzer is good at traveling in luxury because he's done a shitload of traveling. So he knows how to like get really nice hotels and get to the private lounges in the hotels and private lounges in the airport and all this shit. So if I sound kind of self-conscious about it, it's because I am. It's because I've like historically have been so, my mentality has been so deeply entrenched in the idea of like, you can't spend a lot of money if you don't need to, that this is like new, or I'm like, oh, I could treat myself.
Doug, tight with shiny rocks. Doug learn, spend rocks for happy life. Doug try fancy bird ride, not worth many rocks. Doug friend, Parkster, big fancy travel man. Doug feels strange about new spend ways.
Yeah, so anyway, it's just an interesting side thing, and turns out that it's actually awesome to spend money and make your life better. I grew up broke, and my roommate regularly spends $60 on a single candle. That's so fucking true, it hurts. Yeah, like I'm really well off now, and I still go to the store and buy the cheapest possible body wash. I've been in relationships that are like, why are you buying the cheapest possible thing at the store? It's not like that's the most like frugal thing ever, but it's just stuff like that, where, you know, it's just like hard to upgrade a thing when you don't actually need it. That's always just been weird to me. Anyways, point is, when I was thinking about like what sounded in the most enjoyable and like genuinely relaxing and nourishing, I was like, I kind of want to stay at like decent places.
Doug say spend rocks make happy. Doug used to know rocks, now have many. Doug buy cheap cave smell, save rocks. Doug want comfy stay now.
So I was looking at what you can do on the North and South Island, and I realized that on the North Island, there's actually a huge variety of stuff you can do. For example, there's this like crazy symmetrical mountain right here, which is like, oh, that could be kind of cool. Wellington was really, really highly recommended by people, although it seemed like it has less of the type of stuff that I'm particularly interested in, and so I ended up not pursuing that too much. In the middle, there's Mount Doom, sorry. Mount Doom is the mountain that they filmed for Lord of the Rings. This very highly recommended hike where you like hike along this and you go through these mountains, and it's supposed to just be gorgeous. So that was one that people are like, oh, you definitely got to do that hike. There are these glowworm caves where there's these caves with a bunch of glowing worms in them. So I was like, okay, we should do that. And then there's this lake here, Rotorua, which has some like cool stuff near it, including a bunch of like hot spring geyser stuff. I forget where they are. There's these like giant, crazy, like hot geysers. And so I was like, actually, if we go to Auckland and rent a car.
Doug land in Auckland place. Doug see much things on North Island. Crazy mountain, big and cool. Glowworm make caves shine.
Yes.
Like stars. Death Mountain, ooh, scary hike.
It wasn't
Hot
scary.
Water from Earth at Lake. Doug think many things to do.
Well, it wasn't scary, but that's fine. So I was like, okay, wait, actually with a week, we could do a lot of really unique New Zealand stuff. So the itinerary I came up with, which Parkzer was down with, was we landed in Auckland. We had 2 days there, I think. And then we drove south and went to the Waitomo glowworm caves. Went to these caves, spent like most of the day there. Then drove down to, where was it? Tarongi. Drove down to Tarongi, this little town next to this lake. And then the next morning, we would get up and do this like super long hike all day along these mountains. And then the next day we would drive up to Rotorua and be at this lake, and then there was this cool like adventure park thing to do, which had cool luging and lounge type stuff. Not lounge, luge. And then also see the like geysers and things that are in this area. And then we would drive back to Auckland and have a last day there, and then we would go home. Basically figured out a plan to like hit a whole big variety of things. We ended up, I think, getting a cool variety of various unique New Zealand places, architecture, whatever else. Not architecture, like landscape stuff, right? Like unique geographical features. Whereas if we had done South Island, it probably would have just been a few of the things. I'm not really sure. So we landed in Auckland. Bam. This is us at the aquarium. Incredible. Wow. New Zealand. Parkzer looks thrilled. So this is like, we got there that day at like 8 a.m. having barely slept for like 5 hours, and this is like the afternoon. So yeah, it is very pretty. So day one in Auckland, we like landed, and then we went to this aquarium here, and then just ended up walking along the whole thing all the way back. So that's what these pictures are. This is shipping containers. Poggies. This is downtown Auckland. Auckland's really nice. I will say, people, it's the city. Like, there wasn't anything crazy about Auckland. I wouldn't be like, oh, you gotta go visit Auckland. Whereas I just came from Japan, 6 months ago, and that's like a holy shit, you gotta experience Tokyo at some point. You have to go to Japan. It's fucking crazy. And that's not really the vibe in Auckland, but it's nice. This is the hotel gym. It was pretty nice. Auckland is really terrible. It is nice. I don't know. I would not describe it as terrible. So on day two, like day one was basically we're just getting there. So there's a cool hike through Auckland, which is called the Coast to Coast Walk, which is where you start up here at the north side, and then you just walk across the entire like city to the other side. And then what's cool about that is technically you've walked across all of New Zealand from one coast to one coast. So that's what Parkzer and I did on day two. I fucking hated Auckland, but I also stayed in cheap hotels. Yeah, this is what I mean. We stayed at a Marriott, and part of that is because Parkzer is like a Marriott like premium reward fucking fancy member guy. So they were like like giving us free food and like signs that say welcome. There's like plates of cheese and stuff, because Parkzer just lived in Marriott hotels for like 2 years, so that helps a lot. He's like extremely like in the know and very fancy with Marriott hotels, so whenever there was a Marriott, we were able to do that. So then this is us walking across all of Auckland.
Parkster get many cheeses. Big man at cave.
They kept giving me the cheese. They kept coming to my room and saying, here you go, and would hand me this plate of cheese and crackers, which Parkzer liked so much that he put on his blog. He was like really excited about this. And I was like, dude, this isn't even good. Like, we can just have like unique food to New Zealand. And he's like, well, no, it's free. So he's all about free food. Parkzer is very, very passionate about eating free food. Like, he always wanted to go eat the free hotel breakfast in the morning. And I was like, I don't want to eat hotel breakfast. I want to eat like a cool shop around here. But he just absolutely loves free food. On the way back, he wanted to get to the airport early so we could eat all the free food in the lounge. He's very passionate about the food. It's free though. Yeah, but like, it was also old because I forgot to tell him that they had given me cheese and I didn't want it. It was like 6 hours old. But this is just walnuts and nuts. You can get this anywhere. Why not like eat something that's unique to New Zealand? I feel like I'm not the crazy one here.
Parkster want all free cave food.
This is true. Parkzer loves free food. He's just very passionate. We had multiple conversations about this because I was experiencing like luxury travel for the first time, and he just kept being like, have you never done this? He was like coaching me on how to be a luxurious traveler, which is to just always go get free food. This is the only time you're correct and Parkzer's wrong. Thank you. On this one, I fully agree with. I think it is a stupid idea to just eat a bunch of cheese and crackers just because they're given to you for free. But I've been over this. Parkzer will eat things. We had a whole argument after this where I was like, dude, why do you feel obligated to eat food just because it's free? And he's like, well, it's free. And I was like, okay, imagine this. Every morning you wake up and outside of your door, there's a giant bowl of plain oatmeal. Would you feel obligated to eat it? Like, oatmeal is super, super filling and it doesn't have good flavor or anything. And he was like, yeah, I'd eat it. Like, I'd add some like, you know, honey and fruit probably, but like if it was there, yeah. I'm like, no. Like, you don't even have that stuff. That stuff isn't made for you. So you still have to put in work. It's just free oatmeal, just flavorless oatmeal sitting there. And I put like a gallon of it in front of your door every day. Would you eat it just because it's there and it's free? And he was like, yes, absolutely yes.
Parkster still eat mush like true scavenger.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you, caveman. Doug is so rich, he's out of touch with regular folk. There's a difference between having money that you can spend for nice things and feeling obligated to eat anything that is given to you for free. That's not the same. No, I'm saying every day, right? If you woke up one morning and you had a bowl of oatmeal outside your room and it was free, you might be like, oh, cool, yeah, I'll have this. But imagine you're in New Zealand, okay, for the first time, and it's day one of Auckland, New Zealand, where you could go eat unique places that are only in New Zealand. And instead you're like, well, this oatmeal's free. And again, let's assume you have the finances to go pay for food, right? Obviously that is part of the conversation here. Parkzer has the finances to go eat real food. There's no financial incentive for him. It's entirely about the concept of the food was free and therefore I should eat it. And so he like was really excited about the cheese plate and ate all of it. And I was like, dude, you could save room for like an actual New Zealand thing of some kind, but it's free. Would you eat a giant bowl of oatmeal every morning if it was free? And don't vote yes just to fuck with me. Vote honestly. I think you're insane if you vote yes. And again, let's assume you're financially comfortable enough that you can buy food. You can buy whatever breakfast you want. It's not about saving money. It's just about the concept of, oh, well, it's free. There's a bowl of oatmeal right here. I guess I should eat this instead of actual food. I don't eat breakfast, but I would if I ate breakfast. Parkzer also hasn't eaten since we've been back. I am not exaggerating. We got back at noon on Saturday. No, it was like 9 a.m. And then we just like slept all day and then woke up in the evening and I was like, I'm gonna get Chipotle. Do you want anything? He's like, no, I'm still not hungry. And I was like, what? And he's like, usually after trips where I've been eating a lot, I just don't eat for several days and my body just survives off of the fat. And I'm like, okay, sure, whatever. Like, I wasn't very hungry that first day back either. And then yesterday, this is like day 2 that we're back. And I was like, hey, I'm going to Chipotle again. Do you want anything? He's like, no, I'm still not hungry. I haven't eaten anything. Yesterday, I was like, hey, do you want Chipotle? And he's like, I'm still not hungry. And I was like, you haven't eaten in like 36 hours, dude. And he's like, well, I had 2 Tam Tams, which are like a biscuit. Tim Tam. He's had 2 of these. That's all he's eaten in the past 48 hours. He's just like not eating food. Parkzer doesn't make any sense. He's like a plant. He just eats free food and then we'll just like casually not eat food for like 2 to 3 days. Tim Tams are special. He's had 2 of them in 48 hours. And then he said he still wasn't hungry enough for anything at Chipotle. So I brought him back a side of rice and he ate that. So yesterday he had had 2 Tim Tams, and when I say a side of rice, I mean it's like about that big. Like the sides are tiny at Chipotle. He's like a college student. He just like doesn't feel like eating. I don't know. His body doesn't make any sense to me.
Parkster strange. Eat little like bird.
Yes. So Parkster was excited. How did we start talking about the food? Oh, right, because the hotel. Yeah, so every morning you'd make a point to go eat at the hotel, even though it was like, we could just buy food in New Zealand. Hey, I'm not saying Tim Tams are bad. I'm saying that over the course of 48 hours, your body should not, I don't think a person should just be like, yeah, I'll just have like 400 calories. It's not like he's trying to lose weight or trying to not eat. His body has just decided it doesn't need food at all. Why do you hate Tim Tams? Tim Tams are great. We tried them. They're in our snack review video. They're delicious. They're delightful. Great job, Australia. You drink olive oil for fun. That's for efficiency when I need to. I wasn't drinking olive oil on this trip. Okay, so we're walking across Auckland. We're going from the top of Auckland to the very bottom. There's a nice park in Auckland. I pointed at this and said, this is where they filmed Lord of the Rings, and then Parkster, he realized I was lying. Parkster hasn't seen Lord of the Rings. So in our big line, first we went to this park, which is nice, at the top of Auckland. So, you know, there's cool, like, there's some flowers. There's like a war museum or something. Oh, this is Mount Eden. So this is one of the things people say you should go to in New Zealand. So there's this like cool mountain that's, I don't know, like halfway down Auckland or something like that. And then you get this nice panorama view. Wow, pretty, poggies. Look at that. Look at that view. Wow. New Zealand. Should have told him Chipotle was free, then he would eat it. He literally would. This view fucking sucks. This is a dope view. What are you talking about? This is gorgeous. I mean, yeah, there's just lots of, I mean, it's just really, really pretty. It's very, very, very pretty. Yeah, what's cool about this is it's like a volcano. There's Parkster. So there's just this like giant crater. It doesn't look that big based on this picture. You can kind of see people here. It's just this like giant pit. Parkster has the eating habits of a boa constrictor. This is still Mount Eden. I think this is, oh, this is on the other side of it. So you get to see, this is like the south side of Auckland. Hello, Parkster. Parkster. He's like a fucking NPC. He's like a Skyrim NPC. I'm happy to report I had a great time traveling with Parkster, and I was not sick of him by the end of it, which is nice. How is he real? Yeah, he is a very, very unique person. This is grass. Don't know why I took this picture. Oh, this is actually called One Tree Hill, like straight up. It's farther down in Auckland. This down here, so there's this big park, and then One Tree Hill, scenic overlook. Don't know why it's called that. There are multiple trees. There's this block of trees right here, and then there's a statue thing. So I don't know why they call it One Tree Hill, but this is it. This is One Tree Hill. Wow, poggies. And then this is the view from the top. Very pretty. So this is One Tree Hill. There's a big pillar, and then here, fenced off, there's like 10 trees in a fence. They cut down the tree on One Tree Hill. I'm not kidding. Okay, we did see a tree that was cut down, and I was joking of like, oh, that's One Tree Hill. It was like, yeah, here. We were like, oh, it's One Tree Hill. Well, it's not 0 Tree Hill. It was like 10 Tree Hill. And this is the view walking down it. So now we're like kind of near the south end of Auckland. This was a cool arch. This was a cool park. This is a weird swamp. And then we're basically at the end. So we just gone through, you know, the random little like suburbs and whatnot, and then ended up here at the coast. There's this bench, which is the greatest bench I've ever seen. To be clear, there's nothing here. It was awesome. So we sat here for like 10 minutes. And then this is the end. We did it. Oh my God, I'll play the victory music. Wow, incredible. And we took a selfie together. So this was cool. I actually enjoyed this a lot, just like walking through the whole city. It's nice you got to see a wide variety of Auckland. You got to see the cool, like, sort of, you know, touristy spots, sort of touristy, where you're like up on a hill and it looks nice and whatever, but then also just walking through random suburbs. Like, I enjoyed this a lot of just seeing city. This is one of my favorite things, is just to explore cities. That's what I meant earlier. I'm like less drawn to nature trips at this point, and I'm more drawn to just like exploring urban places. For whatever reason, I've just really, really enjoyed that past few years. And then day 3, we went over to a bunch of worms. These are AI images. I assure you these are not. I don't think AI could capture the beauty of Parkzer. So then we went to the glowworm caves. So the first one, you weren't really allowed to take pictures in it. We came out of this cave hole with a boat. We went to Waiotapu glowworm caves. It's these caves. There are apparently tons and tons and tons of caves in New Zealand. These ones, though, are notable because they not only are pretty in Waitomo, they also have a bunch of glowworms in them, which are pretty unique. And so what that means in practice is it's these like worms that hang from the top of the ceiling and drop these like sticky tendrils of mucus below them to trap bugs, and then they glow blue to attract the bugs to like fly up at their sticky mucus. This is like a very, very, very unique thing. So I was excited to see this. I've been in caves before, but I wanted to see the glowworms. Unfortunately, you weren't allowed to take pictures of the glowworms in the first cave that we went to, but in the second one, we got some pictures. So this is like the exit of the cave. You basically take a boat through it and you like go underneath all the glowworms above you, and it's pretty cool. I liked it a lot. and then Parkzer was so disappointed that he has now retroactively made me think I didn't like it as much as I did. In the moment, I loved it, but I now believe it wasn't that cool because he was so disappointed. I'll show you why. I ate at this nice cafe here. There was lots and lots of birds eating everybody's food, which I thought was very funny. Lots of birds in New Zealand. And then this is going into the second cave.
Mean Parkster make caveman sad. Birds steal food like little thief.
Yeah, I hated the birds too. This is the entrance to the cave, which is sick as hell. It's this like spiral staircase down with all these lights on it, and then the entrance to the cave is down at the bottom. And then when we got there, the tour guide was like, all right, and so this is gonna be our sort of stairwell down into the caves. This is all man-made. This is all concrete and stuff that we've made, but this will get us into the actual cave systems itself in a safe way. And I was like, oh, whoa. And I pointed at the lights. I was like, are those the glowworms? And she was like, oh, no. Those are, and I was like, no, I'm kidding. That's not a joke. But the look of horror on this woman's face in the start of the tour, this guy seemed to genuinely think these are all glowworms when they are clearly lights, was very funny. And she was like, oh, okay. I thought this was gonna be a long tour. And I was like, no, I'm not that stupid. That was a joke. But that was pretty funny. So this cave is sick. So you go down and then you enter through a cavern and you are now in the caves, and they are pretty cool caves. I mean, I've been in some caves before. It seemed pretty standard. I don't think anything like super jumped out at me. Caves are really, really cool, by the way. I'm not trying to talk shit on caves. I'm trying to think. I don't think there was anything super notable or different. Oh, wait. Okay, here are the glowworms, I think. Not this. This is obviously... That's it. Glowworms. So these are the little things they drop down. You can see one of the lights here. I mean, because we're like shining a light on it, right? Without the light on, you only see the blue dots. But with the light, you see all the like threads that they have to like trap stuff. There's just like hundreds of thousands of them. And then I believe this is also glowworms. So the pictures don't really do it justice. In fact, they really don't at all. Parkzer took some pictures that I think came out a little bit. Okay, so here are his cave pictures. You can see here, this is what Parkzer got. Keep in mind that this photos from my camera's raw sensor data with everything enhanced right up to the point where leveling it any higher would cause static to appear in the image. They were barely visible. To make things worse, I have astigmatism, so I could hardly see the lights and couldn't really get my eyes to focus in on them. You may be wondering where the glowworms are. If you're not familiar, glowworms are bioluminescent insect larvae. The marketing materials for the Waiotapu glowworm caves made them seem extremely bright and vibrant, but this is basically the best that we saw. So when we were there, it's like you're in the cave and they turn off the lights and there's all these like blue dots all over the ceiling, which are all the glowworms. And then if you shine a light on them, you can see the like strands of kind of mucusy thread. And so as you're walking through the caves, you just see these everywhere. And I was like, oh, that's gonna be sick as hell. And when we left the caves at the end of the day, the whole time I was like, this is cool as hell. This is so fucking sick. And then at the end of the day, I was like, man, so what do you think? That was awesome, right? And he was like, that was very disappointing. I was like, why was that disappointing? This was really cool. And it turns out so Parkzer had seen these pictures like these. So his expectation was that we were going to go into these like caves and have it be like brightly lit. It would just be full of blue lights that just light up the entire room. And like, no, that's not how it works. And so to be fair, I agree that their marketing is a little bit deceptive. It does not look like this at all. It looks like a bunch of blue dots on the ceiling. But this is what Parkzer was expecting. If you told Parkzer the worms were free, he'd eat them. So I thought the caves were super sick. And I love seeing the glowworms. It's just incredibly unique. Like, I had never seen anything like this. And these are just, known around the world as being very, very, very unique creatures. But Parkzer was not amused. I thought it was really, really sick, but it is very hard to convey with a picture. Although also to be fair, apparently certain seasons of the year have more or less of the glowworms, which kind of makes sense because like the bugs will, reproduce more or less like in the spring or whatnot. So also we were at the time where there was less of them, but I still think it's not that crazy. It's like a bunch of, lights on the ceiling. This cave was cool. And then this is the spiral staircase again. This is like the vault entrance from Fallout that you go into the cave. So then, unfortunately, the thing I was most looking forward to in the whole trip, and the thing that was most highly recommended, was this hike, where you go, there are these two giant mountains, particularly this one, which is where they filmed Death Mountain. Mount Doom? Death Mountain. They filmed Mount Doom for Lord of the Rings. There's this hike that's one day long where you basically come to hear Gollum's Pool, Forest Waterfall, and famed movie location. So anyway, start here, and then you climb through these mountains. So basically, the whole first half is you're like going way up this mountain range, and then you get up near the top of Mount Doom, and then you cross through essentially like the kind of valley in between, and then there are these beautiful lakes lakes that you walk past. You go past this lake, and then you get to this side, and you spend like an hour or two just like walking all the way down. It is really, really, really gorgeous. So this was crazy beautiful. Unfortunately, Parkzer's feet were hurting at this point, and he was like, yeah, I don't think I want to do it. And I encouraged him to try to power through it because this was the most highly recommended thing on the entire North Island. I thought it'd be sick as hell, and I'm super down with one-day hikes. But he decided not to go. So the whole reason we came here to Tarongi was so that we could do this all-day hike. And then Parkzer hung out and instead did a nice walk along the river. So he did that. And I solo went down here. So this is me solo. So this is the beginning of the trip, or the beginning of the thing. That is Mount Doom, where they film Lord of the Rings, and it's just where you walk past. Should have told him it was free. Well, then he would have eaten Mount Doom. To be fair, like, we were walking a lot every day. Like, my feet and legs were getting pretty sore at this point, and I run a lot. So it's very fair to Parkzer to not want to do it, because this is a pretty brutal hike. Brutal's a strong word. It's a hard hike. It's definitely a harder one. It's called the Tongariro Alpine Crossing, and it's gorgeous. This is me walking up the mountain. This is a pond. This is a trail. This is a trail. This is a trail. This is a Doug. There's a guy who was doing the hike who was in full like Lord of the Rings outfit. So I came here and I was like, he's like, oh, it's like Mount Doom. And I'm like, is that from The Hobbit or from Lord of the Rings? And he's like, no, that's from Lord of the Rings. This is where they throw the ring. And I'm like, oh, okay. And I feel like he probably died a little bit inside that I was here in New Zealand hiking Mount Doom and didn't know. So the whole like first like 2 hours, you're just walking up towards the mountain basically. Here is a nice panorama. There's cool like rivers and stuff. I don't know how well this hike translates to pictures, but it's ridiculously gorgeous. It reminded me of the Himalayas basically, which are ridiculously gorgeous. This whole hike was incredibly gorgeous. I'm a big fan of like rivers, so I enjoyed. Well, this was one that to the side you didn't have to go to, but then I went here and ate crackers. Oh, dude, I'm so sorry to anybody from New Zealand. I peed in your sacred land. There wasn't a toilet, and so I peed in the sacred waters. I didn't know where else to do it. Let me give context to why I peed in the sacred land. Okay, so you start here, and then there's bathrooms at the beginning. So I was like, all right, great. I used the bathroom. And then we hike forward, and then there's bathrooms, I think, like here or something. So there's bathrooms here. So I went to the bathroom. And then there just isn't a bathroom for like 4 hours. And so I got to Soda Springs, and I was like, I have to pee so bad because I had a bunch of water in the morning to make sure I was hydrated, right? But what they had told me was like, hey, make sure to stay on the paths for your own safety. And also, this is sacred land to the Maori people. So like, don't go wandering off into the mountains by yourself. But I really had to go to the bathroom, and there was no toilets. The next toilet was like here, but some of the toilet places didn't even have toilets in them. And so getting from like here to here with no toilet, and I really had to go to the bathroom. There's like an optional path up here to go to the waterfall. And I was like, nobody else was doing it. They were just doing the main path. They weren't going to the waterfall. And I was like, well, if I try not to be in the water, but like basically there was this ridge. So here's the main path. And then you go down onto this ridge to get towards the waterfall that's up here. And then I realized that my like shoulders up would be visible to all the other people hiking the path, but not here down. And so then looking out at the path where everybody else was, I was just looking at them and peeing, and I had to, because that way if somebody started to come over the ledge, I could stop so I didn't flash anybody, right? I baptized my children in that water. You're banned from New Zealand. They need more toilets. I don't know, dude, you can't, okay, and also, as you saw, it's like all open, flat land, right? Where am I supposed to pee here? Normally when you're on a hike, you can like go off and find a tree or something. There aren't any trees. It's like, and there's like 100 people on the path. So I didn't know what are you supposed to do? What are you supposed to do? I'm sorry to everybody in New Zealand for peeing on your sacred land.
Ha! Spirit's still angry with you.
The spirits are gonna forgive me. I'm sure this happens all the time. From like here, all the way up to there, and another like hour is when there's the toilet. And you can see here is the path that people are walking along here, right? And then there's this optional path here, and then there's this little like dip down right there. And that's where, anyways, but what I want you guys to focus on is look at the beautiful waterfall. Wow, isn't that pretty? Wow, very beautiful. That's a lot of pee. This is not mine. It seems that pissing in a park is a $200 fine. What am I supposed to do? I honestly don't understand. Dude, I was literally like, I didn't know what to do. I was like, it's been 2 hours and I need to use the bathroom, and there's no trees and there's no place. Everything is just in this giant open flat land for hours. How much did you drink? Well, I woke up at 5 a.m. because I had to get there early. There's literally huts to piss at every 2 hours. Also, I woke up and I had a coffee, and then I drank an entire Monster, and then I had water because I needed to hydrate because I was dehydrated from drinking the coffee and the Monster. So the first 2 hours of the thing, I needed to pee a lot. And then I stopped. I brought 4 liters of water on this trip. And when I got to here after peeing in the sacred land, literally here, I poured out my water. I mean, not like into the river, right? And this is like clean water. I'm not like polluting or whatever, but I poured out the water because I was like, I literally can't drink more water on this trip because I don't want to have to pee on the fucking mountain again. This was awful. How far were you from the river? I didn't pee in the river. It was near the river. It was on the ledge that drops down from the river. And then I peed on, so here, we're gonna do a pirate software thing, except it's for me peeing. So the way it worked is like, here's the main path, and then there's a side path down here. So then there's a ledge here. So you're like, these are people on the main path going down this way. And then I went along the side path, and then you like drop down. So my head is here, and I'm standing here, and then the other people are like walking down the trip. So they can like see my head, but they can't see whatever else. Doug basically peed in my, no, okay, we're gonna close this. What you guys need to focus on though is the beautiful, incredible Soda Springs. This is very, very pretty, but I literally poured out my water and drank as little as I possibly could for the rest of the hike, which was like a 7 or 8 hour hike, just because I was like, okay, I have no idea when there's gonna be toilets. Just again, for anybody who's watching me and gonna arrest me, at least acknowledge that there's a toilet here. Also, no signs about when the next toilet is, by the way. There's a toilet here, and the next one is here. There's like a 5-hour block without a toilet. What are people supposed to do? Somebody's saying pee in a bottle. Look at the landscape. It's like these open, flat lands. You would be completely visible to everywhere else. I would much rather pee onto the land next to the river than to be standing here making brutal eye contact with a bunch of French people who are hiking here and be the American who is pissing into a Gatorade bottle and like looking at them. I don't want to be that guy. I'd rather be the guy who pees on the land. Wear a diaper. Look, I'm like, this was silly and whatnot, but also they do not have enough toilets on this crossing. Like, I don't know how anybody else was holding it in. Like, this does not make any sense. Either you don't drink any water or you don't pee for the middle 4.5 hours of the flight, trip, walk, whatever. But this is higher up the mountain. So down there was the waterfall, but now I'm much higher up. And then basically you get to the top and you're now in this like kind of valley area. So you have like Mount Doom on your right there. Yeah, dude, if you had to take a dump, if I had taken a shit in the sacred land, I feel like they would have arrested me or something. I don't know. So yeah, you're just like going through this big like crater basically. And this is on the other side of the crater. Just piss in your mouth. You got all of your ideas are way worse than what I did, which is peeing in nature. Technically though, I did go to Mordor and pee in it because this is where they filmed Mordor for Lord of the Rings. As you can see, it's like pretty sick. Beautiful Mordor. And this is basically the top. Now this is the very top of it. It's just gorgeous up here. It is so insanely pretty. So this is the highest point in the whole hike. This is my favorite part of the whole trip, I think. I mean, it's just freaking gorgeous. It is so beautiful. Mount Fuji. Not quite, but close. Yeah, it's nuts. And then if you just walk like 20 more feet, here's my community meetup photo. So at the beginning of the trip, I was like, oh, this would be funny if I tweet out I'm doing a community meetup at the top of like the Mount Doom hike and then post a picture of myself with nobody there. And then there was no service. And so then I couldn't do it until I was like on the other side of the mountain. And then I was kind of worried. I was like, wait, what if somebody actually tries to go there and meet me? Like, I would feel really bad if somebody like dropped whatever they were doing, climbed to the top of this mountain to meet me, and then like I just wasn't even there. But then because there was no service on the mountain, I realized that if I said it's in 1 hour, there's no possible way that somebody who was already on the mountain could get there in time because they wouldn't have service and wouldn't know that I had tweeted it. And if they lived more than an hour away, they couldn't make it into an hour. So I scheduled this in a way where literally nobody could even meet me there. That's how I went. And then like 10 feet later, you have that on your right. Then there's these like beautiful lakes. Oh, it's so pretty. Did anybody die on the trail? Not that I saw. Did you pee into Mount Doom? It would have been fucked up if I peed into this beautiful crystal clear pond. So I don't know where it would have gone. Yeah, the lakes are really, really pretty. It's nuts. For anybody who goes to New Zealand, highly recommend this hike. It's definitely one of the most like condensed, beautiful walks I've done. It was like just shoot, because this is all over like 7 hours. It's crazy beautiful. Yeah, and then here's the bigger lake. And it's so cool walking along all of them. Did you pee in the lakes? No, I didn't pee again after my first incident because I stopped drinking water. So that I was just really dehydrated because I was worried there wouldn't be toilets. And I was correct. There weren't toilets for like 4 hours. So I'm just like kind of swiveling around. And then you get to the other side of the kind of like crater up here. This is this Blue Lake right there. That's Blue Lake. So you're like stand here and you get to look at this really pretty lake. And then you walk here and you basically crest over the mountains and then you're just walking down facing up into this whole area and it's just super gorgeous. So then you get this view for the next like 2 hours of hiking. It's so pretty. Look at that. Oh, and one of the things about New Zealand, they have these like geothermal vents everywhere. So you just see like smoke rising out of the ground all over the place. It's cool. Please go on another trip. Every time you leave the country, a new medical professional tells me I'm autistic. Hold on, are you getting more autistic or are they telling you the same thing? Because it doesn't sound like you need me to go on any more trips. Did you pee in the vents? No, there were signs saying the vents are sacred private land. Do not go near the vents. So no, I did not go pee in the vents. I peed in as little sacred land as I could. Look at all this. And then it suddenly becomes like kind of green again. What's also crazy, the color of water changes everywhere based on the mountain. So up there was like the lakes that were like really bright blue, which is crazy. A little earlier, you see this. I didn't really get a great photo, but like the water here is like yellow, brown, tannish because of everything that's like going through. It's not because of pee, it's because of all the, you know, the rocks and everything that go through. And then a little farther down the mountain, because this is all like very volcanic area, right? These are all volcanoes basically. Then this water is like black. It's crazy. I've never seen anything like this. And this is like, you know, a few miles down the river or down the mountain or whatever. So I thought this was just like super interesting. It's not oil, but it's like crazy gorgeous. So every, you know, like 30 minutes or whatever, you're just like the water looks completely different. There's a huge free bowl of oatmeal outside your window every morning and there were no toilets. Would you pee in it? Yes, I would. If there was no toilets, yeah. Well, ideally I would go pee on a tree or something. This is again, like the water is just straight up like charcoal. It's crazy. So I'm like hiking from, you know, here are the pee vents, not pee vents, smoke vents. So you're like, you start up here basically, and this is the last like 2 hours of the trip and you're just going down here and you can see it just suddenly starts becoming really green, like around here on the mountain. And then you just randomly are suddenly in like a rainforest. It's just out of nowhere. Just grab some different vials of water. Yeah, I would have taken like rocks and water, but that feels like that would be too much. If they didn't seem to care a lot about that stuff, I would have loved to bring some home. So then you're just like in this gorgeous forest for the last like hour. It's so pretty. Oh, and then the water gets like crazy again. It turns like gray. I don't know if I got a video of it. Like near the bottom, it turns like light gray water. It's crazy. This looks like a nice place to deforest into paper. God, think of how many homes we could build in Nebraska if we just cut down all of this wood. And then this is me at the bottom. I did it. Great job, me. And then I drove my car home. It's a perfect Walmart location. Yeah, that'd be a nice parking lot. And this is the picture doesn't really do it justice. This is huge. Like I know this is probably 30 or 40 feet tall. Just the perspective of this doesn't really look like it. Like a human would be like this tall, maybe. This was a ridiculously pretty hike. I didn't really get this river here, but this river's crazy. It was like, I should have taken a video. You can't really see it, but it's like gray water. It's wild. So that was day 4 or 5 or whatever. Poggies. All right, on to day 5 or whatever. So the next day, Parks and I went to the Waiotapu Thermal Wonderland. So it turns out there are these like geysers from the earth all over New Zealand and particularly in this area. So the whole area smells like farts because of sulfur. And as you're driving around, it's crazy. You just see these like sulfur vents everywhere. It's wild how frequent they are. But this was one of the places that was recommended of like, hey, if you want to go check these out, you should go do this. This is like, you know, very volcanic, like tectonic plates over each other, vent stuff coming out of vents and stuff.
Next day, long drive, go to Stinkland. Earth burnt gas, smell like fart.
I wouldn't call it Stinkland. So you just walk over this river. There's a Parkzer. Look, I will admit, the entire time we were there, because it all just smells like rotten eggs, I would always just be like, oh, sorry, Parkzer, that was me. And he'd be like, no, it wasn't. The whole time I was trying to convince him that I had farted, and he never believed it. Correctly, he never believed it. I did never fart. It just looks like this. There are these crazy like pools that are just like steaming. And this is like, I was about to say it's a cold day. That doesn't really clarify things, but it's just wild looking. And so you go through this like outdoor park and you just see all these fart holes everywhere that are just like emitting all this sulfur. Here's one. You can't really see it from the picture, but there's like mud at the bottom that's just like bubbling because it's like 1,000 degrees and the earth is just like heating it up. These definitely don't do as well with pictures. Like this is all mud that's like bubbling. Look at that picture. Great. This is one of the bigger ones. Look at this shit. It's crazy. And what's cool is the colors like change all the time. Not like every minute, but every day, I guess, the colors are changing based on the sun and like what's going on with the different chemicals in the fart hole. So what's cool is like as you're walking through this, you're like seeing all this like bubbling and steam and whatnot come off. I assume I took some videos. Here's a picture of us. This is the big fart hole. This is me smelling it. Like it's like a very, very potent smell. It's quite a lot. There's just these little streams everywhere that have like really interesting just like texture and I don't know, like layers to them and whatnot. Here's like the gray water again. The water had like really unique colors as it would go in different parts of the river. Yep, so we're walking around. You walk on these like boardwalks along the outside of it. Here's Parkzer sitting on a bench. This is Green Lake, I think. Yeah, this is just one of the lakes. Like the lakes are just like crazy colors. This one is just green. Another one is like Mountain Dew green. This is where another person walked up and was like, Parkzer, DougDoug. I was like, yeah. They're like, oh, can we get a picture? It's awesome. So a guy from New Zealand met us here. You were the second person and only, there were only 2 people who recognized us in New Zealand, and I wasn't expecting it to be at the Fart Lake, but yeah, crazy beautiful. It's just like really, really unique. Like I've never seen anything like this in terms of just this very, very interesting geographical landscape. There's just this like fog and smoke everywhere all the time. Oh, right. I literally probably 100 times I would point at things and then be like, that's where they filmed Lord of the Rings. And then Parkzer would be like, is that exactly where they filmed Lord of the Rings? And then I would say, no, I mean in New Zealand. And so I made that joke probably like 45 times. Then this part was actually used to film Lord of the Rings. Then I pointed at it and took a picture. So there's like this bubbling mud at the bottom of this, and they recorded it and used it in Lord of the Rings. A lot of stuff that was used in Lord of the Rings in New Zealand. It's like down there is just this like boiling mud. Oh, you can see it a little bit. A little bubbling. Oh, yeah, and then there's just Mountain Dew Lake. The camera like makes it look less green than it was. It was like bright neon green. People probably, I don't know, I felt like people came and poured a bunch of Monster in there or something. It was a Shrek shot. Yeah, it is wild. Interestingly enough, Parkzer was disappointed by the glowworms because the marketing pictures for them were so crazy. But with this place, the pictures only showed the giant like fart crater and one other thing. And so this ended up being like way cooler than we expected. And like just the colors on all the water it's just nuts, man. So this was it. Waiotapu Thermal Wonderland. I don't know how to pronounce any of the Maori, but this was great. If you end up being in New Zealand, it was really fun. I feel I would have had to slurp a bit of the green water. I mean, I would have loved it to. Oh, I'm sorry. Look, I'm sorry to the people of New Zealand. I did drink some of it because I joked. Oh, and I drank some cave water too. I kept joking with Parkzer it'd be funny if I got sick because I drank cave water. And so then I had a little bit. And then over here, I think, I was like walking over it and I was like, Parkzer, we should drink some. And he was like, no, absolutely not. And I was like, come on. And then I dipped my finger in and did drink some of it. So I'm sorry if that's not allowed. If that's not cool with the sacred land, I'm sorry. How did you not get sick? I don't know. It's quite possible that I get like a brain parasite. There's a guy who drank glacier water in like Alaska and he got a straight up like brain parasite and he had to be hospitalized for weeks and almost died. So if there are brain eating amoebas in the fart holes, like I'll probably die. I mean, I didn't sit there like drinking a gallon of water. I like put my finger in and then licked it. I wanted to say I had drinking the fart water, but you're probably not supposed to do that. And it's probably sacred fart water too. I don't know. But I didn't drink the Mountain Dew. There was just one of the pools that we like walked over. I'm not banned from New Zealand. They're fine with it. Anyway, then we went to the next town and saw that they had nachos that are served in a giant taco. So we ate that. And then the place that Parkzer booked ended up being insanely gigantic. So we had like a whole like cottage to ourselves, this was just like gorgeous. And then you're like looking out along the lake. Oh, awesome. We were only there for like the end of the day. And then at this point, unfortunately, it rained for like the rest of the trip. So we couldn't really explore Rotorua. So I had wanted to go explore the lake and go to this funny like adventure park thing, but it was just like pouring rain the whole time we were there. So I enjoyed the water, but that was it. I'm not sure if there would be harmful bacteria in the water, but it's probably chemically toxic. Yeah, it's very acidic for sure. The water is like 1,000 degrees. I don't think it's bad for you. Just saw the news that you were banned from New Zealand. They probably won't ban me. This is also Rotorua. We ate some delicious food here, walked around a little bit in the rain and explored it. It was really, really pretty. Rotorua is super pretty. And then we did like 8 hours of driving. So the driving was actually really, really pretty. And I asked Parkzer towards the last like hour or two of driving to take some pictures, and they aren't great, but this is a little bit of what it looks like as you're driving through New Zealand. Well, not that. It's really, really gorgeous. You're driving through these just endless green hills with a shit ton of sheep and cows. Okay, these are not good pictures, but like it's gorgeous. I mean, it's more like this. It's just these endless green hills with livestock everywhere. And this is just everywhere you're driving basically is like that. So it's really, really, really pretty. It's interesting. It's like, it all looks exactly the same. It all just looks like this. Just like green hills with sheep and cows, just in all directions forever. Like there's so much of that, which is wild. Don't come to Australia, you're scary. Australia probably doesn't have sacred water that I will drink. Yeah, okay, this is a good shot. This is what it looked like everywhere. It is really, really pretty. There was like, 8 hours of driving I did, and it was just lots and lots and lots of this. And they do indeed, I know everybody's making the sheep joke right now, but they legitimately have so many sheep and so many cows. It is everywhere. I assume this is what England is like. This is what I've heard Britain is like. It's just endless green hills with a bunch of cows. You also have to drive on the wrong side of the road road, so that was kind of confusing for a while. And I almost got in a few car accidents the first few hours, but then I got used to it. And then Parkzer just had me drive the whole time, which I was fine with. I preferred that. But anyway, driving, cows, more cows. Parkzer took pictures of all our food. So I took a picture of this water pitcher, and I took a picture of him taking a picture. So then we're back in Auckland, and then the last day in Auckland, so we were kind of staying in this area. There's this bungee jumping place here, so we decided to walk to it, and then it was going to take like 2.5 hours and didn't look that cool. So instead I just went on a run for like a while. So these are pictures of me just running along the waterfront of Auckland. Water. Wow. That's a bird. Their seagulls are funny. Their seagulls are smaller, and then they have like brighter colored beaks and feet and cooler like tails. Okay, is everybody ready for the good shit? This has all been boring because I'm about to tell you the greatest travel experience I've ever had in my entire life. We flew first class. Oh my God, it was amazing. I've never flown anything other than economy. And then we were like, okay, so at first Parkzer was like, I'm gonna be incredibly sick on this flight. I get sick on airplanes. I ideally want to have, and he's never left the country other than to go to Canada. He's driven into Canada. This is his first international flight ever. And so it's way longer than normal. And flights apparently make him really sick. And he was like, if we can get a nicer seat, then that would help me a lot because I'm not just gonna be sitting there almost vomiting for 13 straight hours on the flight. And I was like, fuck, it actually would be really nice to like have a nicer seat. I hate airplane seats so much. Obviously, if it's an hour or two, whatever, that's fine. But if it's like 3+ hours, and certainly if it's like 12 hours, I get so uncomfortable. My back starts hurting immensely. I can't sleep while I'm sitting. Like, I am just not physically capable of doing that. So I end up just being like brain dead zombie sitting in a chair. And if it's a long international flight, like to Japan or New Zealand, it's just miserable because I'm sitting there unable to sleep, but like, you know, cramped into this tiny spot. And then I'm not super tall, but I'm tall enough that I can't work or like do anything on a airplane seat because the fucking the person in front of me will recline, and then they bring their table, their tray table down, and then my laptop or whatever I'm using has to like angle like this. So the only way I work is like this, which, as you can imagine, very uncomfortable after like 10 minutes. And so on flights, I can't sleep. I'm physically in pain the whole time, like particularly after 2 or 3 hours. And then I can't sleep. So I'm just like fucking dying the whole time, but I can't like fall asleep. Anyway, I hate flights. That being said, I'm not a coward. I can put up with it. Yeah. Like I've done a number of international flights. I just deal with it. But for me, traveling, especially internationally, the way I feel about traveling internationally is like, oh, cool. I'm going to be absolutely fucking miserable for like 12 to 14 hours. And then I'm going to get there so sleep deprived and tired that I'm going to lose like the first day and a half because of how incredibly tired I am. And like how horrible I feel from the sky chair. So, you know, and again, like you got to fucking deal with it, right? If you're going to travel, you got to deal with it. But I've never flown anything other than economy. So this is my only experience of flights. And again, 2-3 hour flight, I don't mind at all. That's fine. It's at the 3+ hour mark that I really start getting uncomfortable. And then when I fly overseas, it is just miserable. And so for me, that's what traveling is. So on the way there, we were like, Parkzer mentioned that he gets really sick in economy. And it was like, if we can do economy plus, that would be really great. So apparently there are 3 tiers. There is economy, which is like the cheap one. Then there's economy premium, which is where you get more legroom and a little more space. Wow. And then there's first class or business class in this case. So at the beginning of this, I mentioned that I'm like often uncomfortable spending money. I've never even considered paying more money to have a nicer seat on a flight. But Parkzer was like, if we go to economy premium, I am less likely to feel horrible the entire time. And so it's like, oh shit, okay. So we looked at it. It's $2,000 for each of us round trip. And I was paying for our tickets because the only reason Parkzer was going to New Zealand is because it's this stupid meme to get cologne. So I was funding the trip. $2,000 each for our round trip tickets to go to New Zealand. And to do economy premium, it's $4,000 each. You double it. So instead of $2,000 for a ticket, it's $4,000. And in return, you get more legroom, basically. But I was like, fuck, this is 12 hours. Parkzer's gonna be really sick. This one time, I'm just gonna splurge and go for it. And so instead of spending $4,000 on tickets, I spent $8,000. And I got both Parkzer and me premium economy for the way there and back. And on the way there, we got premium economy, and it was fine. There's more legroom. It's not worth $2,000 in my opinion. Now, arguably, it was still worth it. And I was able to get like an hour of sleep on the flight on the way there because I had enough room that I could lean forward onto like my tray table thing and like kind of sleep on it a little bit. But yeah, shitload of money, right? And so I was like, that's a lot. So, you know, I would not say it's worth it. However, that was to get to the second tier, but there's also the third tier, which is first class / business class or whatever. I think there's multiple, whatever. I'm just gonna call it first class. I think it's called business class. And that's where you get, you know, like your own private seat, and they have it at a funny angle, and you know, it looks all nice or whatever. But that is like $8,000 a person. I was like, no, I'm not spending $8,000. I'm not gonna spend $16,000 on tickets. But I did put $8 grand on the tickets, which is a lot. This is a business expense, so technically I get a discount because I was going there to create business things. I'm still spending the money, but it just means I won't be taxed as much at the end of the year. Still, it's a lot. 8,000's a lot. That's so much more than I've ever spent on flights. But then Parkzer was looking at it and he said, we can actually bid money, and you can say, hey, if you guys end up opening additional business seats, like the first class ones, we would pay money to upgrade from the second tier up to the third tier. So Parkzer said, I was like, look, I'm spending $8,000 on tickets. I'm not spending any more. But Parkzer was like, I would be willing, this is now Parkzer saying this, I would be willing to put in more money for the chance for us to get upgraded to first class. And I was like, that would be great. If you're willing to put in money, that's awesome. So he spent like a few hours researching the exact best strategies for how much money to put in that is as little as possible, but the most likely to actually get you the upgrade to first class. And so the number he came up with was, I believe, $1,600 each. So $800 per flight. $1,600 that he would put in on top of our $4,000. Oh, Parkzer's here. Okay. So Parkzer put up $1,280 each way. So in total, about $2,500 as an auction to basically say, hey, if you guys have extra first class seats, we want to be in the auction to buy them. And so in total, that would mean that instead of spending $8,000 on tickets, how do I do this math? In one direction, we were paying $4,000 for both of our tickets. And Parkzer was basically putting on an extra $1,200 to say, hey, could we get upgraded to first class? On the way there, we didn't get the upgrade. So I just spent $4,000, Parkzer spent nothing, and we got the business economy premium, whatever things. On the way back though, I forget when we got it, but we got the news, fucking poggies, we got the upgrade. So on the way back, I still spent the $4,000 on the base tickets, but then Parkzer's amount worked out and he spent $1,200 to get us upgraded to first class. So in total, it was $5,200 for us to both get first class flights back to Los Angeles. So actually great. $5,200 for 2 first class tickets from New Zealand is great. For context, it would be $8,000 each normally. And instead we paid about, I don't know, what's the math there? Like $2,600 total each? Like way less. That's not to say that $5,200 isn't a lot of money, but that is to say that's way less than what you would normally pay for first class. That is not how you do math. How did I do the math wrong? What did I math wrong about that? I wrote the numbers on our website if you don't know how to do math. All right, whatever. The math is somewhat wrong here, but the point is I spent $4 grand and then Parkzer put in this additional money in order to get upgraded first class. Now, as a reminder, I have never flown anything other than economy. I don't really travel in luxury ever. I'm trying to think of any time I've really traveled in luxury. Already on this trip, we kept staying at, we're staying at a Marriott hotel and like these really nice lodges and stuff. Like we were like spending money to stay at nice places. And I was like, holy shit, this is super nice. And we got free hotel breakfast. And I'll admit it, it was really good. It was literally super good. You'll never go back, dude. That's the problem. That's what I'm getting to. So we go to the airport and I am like, holy shit, we're flying first class. This is going to be fucking crazy. I don't know what this is going to be like. And it was insane. First we get to the airport. We walk past in Air New Zealand. This is like rows and rows and rows and rows of people checking in, doing bags or whatever. I prepare to go get in line and then Park's just like, no, come over here. That's for the normies. They have a premium check-in spot. What? I didn't know that. There's a whole room just for you to check in if you're first class. There's like attendants here.
Bro, this is crazy. Got a lounge? Are you seeing this?
Are you gonna check in?
Just fucking wild. You're in your own private little room just to check in. And they're like, the attendants are coming over and like asking you for shit. Oh my God. And then,
whoa, I got a button for the door.
absolutely crazy.
That was so unnecessary. That was awesome.
It's so unnecessary. So that's how it starts, right? And then, okay, you go here, all these people, there's like hundreds of people in line. And then we realize,
Parkzer and me.
express lane by invitation only. We get to go to this fancy line. This is crazy. I've never seen
This
anything
is
like this.
crazy.
Never been to an airport before.
Not this.
Not this one, Parkzer. Not like getting to go off in my own lane,
Not like I'm
Parkzer.
the Duke of New Zealand.
I'm some sort of king. And so all the poor people are just like over here, like having to wait in a giant thing. We just skip to the front. It's insane.
Oh, it's electronic? Bro, let me look at your passport.
And then we went in and there's like even more. You get to skip another line. There's like an hour of line that we skipped. And then once we got first class, Parkzer was like, I want to get there early so that we have time to eat the free food at the lounge. Because again, Parkzer wants to eat free food more than anything else in the entire world. I was worried it took so long to get to the airport. I was worried we wouldn't even be able to go to the lounge. And then we get into the airport, right?
Bro, this shit sucks ass. I can't believe people used to live like this.
Right? And this is what the normies have to live with now.
Not us.
Live like what?
Not us. We're royalty.
Okay, and then we get to
Do
go
you
up
think
this.
these stairs are just for us?
So, okay.
Is this the lounge?
What are you talking about?
So this is the normal airport where you walk through, right? And now we're trying to find the lounge. And I've never been in an airport lounge. I don't fucking know. I don't know how that shit works, but it sounds cool. Parkzer even said there's showers in them, which is ridiculous. That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. And then we finally find the lounge.
Here it is. The lounge. Oh. The lounge.
It's this way.
The lounge. Oh.
Look at that.
We're so rich. Dude, they have elevators?
The Air New Zealand Lounge. Do you guys even know there were lounges? I literally didn't even know they had lounges at airports. I mean, I think I conceptually knew about it, but I never like thought about the fact that somewhere in an airport, there's just this lounge for rich people.
They got windows?
They have what?
Windows in the lounge.
Parkzer was nonplussed. He has been to fancy lounges and shit all the time. He knows how to travel in style.
Yes, they have floor-to-ceiling windows in the lounge.
Damn. Look at that.
This is gonna be part of the vlog. Of
I
you
hate poor people.
of you. You should be confused at not bottom-tier travel experience.
This is crazy.
Yeah, because Parkzer the whole time was basically like, yes, you are experiencing travel where you actually like take time and effort and money to like have a really good experience, which I hadn't done before.
Dude. They got escalator safety here? Whoa.
I kept saying to Parkzer like, damn, poor people suck. I think one or two times like other people overheard and I felt bad. It was okay, wait. Dude, look at this fucking lounge. It was actually, there's a lot of people in it. So you walk in. This is so unnecessary.
It's like a whole other airport. You think we can sit in the chairs?
Wow. And you can just sit anywhere.
So unnecessary.
Way busier than I thought it would be.
Yeah, I was pretty busy.
Sorry. We're not as rich as we thought.
Okay.
It's also funny because we're here because we didn't pay the main amount. Look at that.
Whoa.
These are envying.
Whoa, they got plates?
Dude, they have a buffet with like fancy food.
Yo, Parkzer, check this out.
And I was just kind of,
Damn.
You're literally gonna get kicked out of lounge.
yeah, I was just going for it. Look at all this food. It's like fancy shit too. It's like egg mayo sandwiches on wheat bread. Fucking, there was like broccolini, fancy aged cheddar, hummingbird coffee, and chocolate mousse.
Oh, they got booze?
They just have alcohol everywhere.
They got cream?
It's really just full of booze.
Shit's wild.
So then we get a whole plate of food. I eat broccoli. I had vegetables for the first time in like a week.
Only in New Zealand, am I right?
Not correct.
Now Parkzer, he knows what's going on. I was just like, oh my God, this is crazy. We're so rich.
I'm taking a shower in an airport.
They have showers! They're so funny. Like, why? What is the point of this? There's like a whole private bathroom. And then I came out here and then I just like intentionally didn't dry my hair at all because I thought it was so funny that I was showering in the airport. And so then I was just like walking around the lounge, just like dripping water. And like all these people were looking at me weird. And at first I was like, are they annoyed because I'm just taking a video of the lounge? And then I realized it's because I'm dripping water everywhere. Like I was just getting weird looks. But I had to take a shower because this is insane. There's a whole fucking coffee and wine bar. They're thinking, who let the poor in? Who's this poor guy who's taking a shower? And there's all these like side rooms. There's like a kids area. There's like multiple private areas you can go if you want like a quiet spot.
All right.
They got mints. Parkzer got a mint.
Oh. They got an exit here? What? Damn, they have escalators here?
Dog, you literally went up the other end.
Whoa, they got airplanes?
So, lounge, crazy. I'm gonna be honest with you. This is not me playing it up for content. I was like, holy shit, that was awesome. Getting into the airport, the whole experience was amazing because they send you off in this private lounge to check in for no reason, and then you get your own private line. And so we got through the airport super easy, and then you get to hang out in this nice ass lounge eating nice ass food with like a bunch of space. You get to take a shower. It was so nice. Already at this point, I was like, I am genuinely enjoying this. This has gone from an experience I have to tolerate and it's awful to I'm genuinely enjoying myself. And then we go to the actual plane.
Yeah, let's take the escalators. The stairs are for the poor people.
I don't understand. That's
I think that one overheard me.
Yeah, let's take the escalators. The stairs are for the poor people.
I don't understand. That's first of all, it's not true.
This is not in the lounge, by the way. We're just walking into the airplane. Oh, dude, in the lounge, they have like fancy TVs everywhere that are like, here's when the boarding is happening for the next flights. I was literally in the shower and I heard over the intercom like, hello, passengers. We are now boarding for New Zealand flight NZ43. Please head over to the boarding station or whatever. And I'm like, dude, I'm taking a shower right now. I'm getting this like nice private little announcement. You don't even have to work. You get to hang out in the lounge until right when you're boarding. Insane. Now, look at this fucking seat. First off, why is it at a 45-degree angle? I don't know. Now, I've seen these, right? I'm sure we've all seen a first class seat before, and you're like, all right, that looks fancy, whatever. And you know, they have like, you walk in, everybody has like a fucking glass of wine. And so I'm like, yeah, this would be cool.
Only in New Zealand, am I right?
Now, I didn't realize how much leg room there'd be. Look at that. I can extend my legs. And again, I'm not like crazy tall, but I'm tall enough that my knees are pushed up against, in a normal economy plane, my knees are pressed up against the chair in front of me. It's awful. It feels bad. Again, it's just like physically uncomfortable. It's not the worst experience in the world. Obviously, it's not like, there's worse things in the world, but it's not comfortable. And this is like, holy shit, I just get to have my leg. This is insane. This is insane. Look at this menu. It's like an actual restaurant that you're ordering from. Slow cooked wild Ferdinand like mushroom shit. Yeah, you get venison is one of the options. People hate you for no shoes. I only took my shoes off because the lady next to me took her shoes off and she clearly wasn't a poor because she looked really comfortable in first class. So Doug pees on sacred ground and the spirits reward him with a first class upgrade. Yeah. Now Parkzer has traveled in good things before. He wasn't that shocked by it. To be fair, you just shout. Yeah, right. I took a shower 5 minutes before this, to be fair to me. My feet probably don't stink nearly as much, but I did make sure that the other Richies, like I was kind of looking around to them to be like, what do I do? So I didn't even know you could even put your foot on the footrest thing until she started doing it. So then they come out and they put a fucking table, like they like bend a whole table. It's not a tray table. It's like a legit table. And then they put a tablecloth on it. I shouldn't have watched this. I now see why people demand to fly first class. Dude, my entire experience was me just being like, holy shit, this is amazing. I cannot believe that you can travel like this. It's like a restaurant. They brought out lobster bisque and garlic bread. They're like, do you want anything from the bakery? And they're in their New Zealand accents. It's ridiculous. They're offering you drinks whenever you want it. Parkzer had like 13 Diet Cokes over the course of the flight. Fucking salt and pepper in little trays. This was my meal. It was like, I don't know, like salmon or something. It was some type of fish with like broccolini and all this good ass shit. It was like good. So I'm sitting there like having tons of space to literally coating the caveman who's there, sitting there like getting to do like nice work and then occasionally fold my laptop down, pull it up, and then fucking get to just eat at nice ass food like it's a restaurant. Insane. And then Parkzer reminded me that there's seat chat where you can talk to each other on the seat, even though he's literally to the right of me. And so we started seat chatting and I wrote, hello, Parkzer. And he wrote, hello, Douglas. And then I wrote bomb. Which, like, there's a decent chance I could have gotten kicked out of first class, but I recovered by saying that means hello in Japanese. And then Parkzer says, you literally just accepted the TOS saying you wouldn't use this for inappropriate communication. And don't worry, guys, I covered my bases. Blame Google Translate, not me. If anybody looks at this, like, you know, the FBI, they're just gonna be like, oh, it was a Google Translate area. So, saved. And then typing on this takes forever. This is true. Every word took like a minute. It was so hard to type on this seat. And then because he said this, I said, while we're talking, could you please write up an addendum to the Scootish contract in this chat? So then Parkzer spent like, first he said, what? And I said, please hurry. What are we adding? It has to be in this chat window. My computer isn't connecting to Wi-Fi. That if we don't survive this flight, then he gets fired. Like if I have a heart attack or something. I added this. I saved it. This might imply I was gonna blow up the flight, but this saved it. Oh yeah, because then I saw that there was a block button, which is, I don't know why this is a feature. So anyways, I threatened to block Parkzer and then wrote wee woo. And so then he wrote up the whole contract. The independent contractor agreement between DBA, DougDoug, and Jackson Airdig shall be amended as follows. Section 3 shall be amended with the following cause for termination. Douglas Reed is determined to have suffered legal death as a consequence of Air New Zealand Flight 4 on October 5th, 2024, as determined by a licensed medical practitioner with credentials issued by a governing body or institution of competent jurisdiction. The parties hereby agree to this amendment. Then he connected, let me pull up my Discord. He connected to the internet, and this is for the friend who is now joining the Discord and is going to be fired at some point. Parkzer wrote, hey Scootage, we just drafted this amendment on our flight. Could you sign and return this as soon as possible, please? Or if you're on this flight, you can just send it via seat chat to seat 12J and we can accept electronic signature too. That was a great Parkzer moment. He fucking cracked me up really hard. This took like 15 straight minutes to type up. This was so much typing for a seat conversation. This is me taking a picture of him as he was writing it. There's another picture of just like how awesome this is, where I'm like talking with Parkzer on my left. I have my feet fully extended and a table working on my laptop. All that's great, right? All of that was great. And all of that would be like, wow, that's probably not worth $8,000, but it is like, that is a crazy experience. The lounge was awesome. Getting to skip all the lines was awesome. Being on this nice chair with a nice table, like getting to fucking stretch out my legs, getting to bend back my chair. Oh, amazing. All amazing. Probably a lot of you are aware that this is a thing. I was not aware that this is a thing. On first class, they turn your fucking chair into a bed. They fold the chair down and put a cot on top, and then it's just a bed. And so I was like, oh my God, that's crazy. You get to fully lay down, even for me. I'm like 6'1", it's like I could fit in the full thing. I was assuming I would have to like scrunch my knees up. And so then I slept for 5 straight hours. That's insane. I just got to sleep in a bed. This was literally mind-blowing to me. Dude, a flight doesn't have to be this absolutely miserable experience of like being zombie-like tired, but I can't fall asleep because I'm scrunched in this terrible fucking chair for 10 straight hours. Instead, I just got to sleep in a bed. It's ridiculous. And then we're back in the United States. This was the greatest travel experience I've ever had. It wasn't just like twice as good. It was like, it went from an experience I hate to an experience I genuinely had a great time with. Oh, I was like, I literally woke up just being like, oh my God, that was awesome. And then, you know, still went home and slept, but like, holy shit. Even with the price, it was like, dude, the experience of travel went from like, oh yeah, I'm gonna feel horrible the whole flight and then be sleep deprived and feel exhausted for the next like 2 days. So I like go home and felt fine. I got home and slept a few more hours in my bed and then I'm just like good to go. And I'm like, have had very little jet lag. This shit's crazy, dude. It's absolutely crazy that you can just like pay money and have a great experience. Who knew? So this was not only my first time doing first class, I also realized for the first time like what first class entails. And now I'm gonna be honest, I wanna do first class all the time. So this is all to say, this is a very long way of saying the following. For any domestic flight, certainly any flight that's like 3 hours or less, I'm never gonna pay for first class. It's not a good use of money. And I still try to be frugal in general, but I'm serious. I feel like a douche saying it. I need to fly first class again on international flights. I don't need to, but holy shit, it was so awesome. It was so awesome on every level. And I arrived well rested and I had all this food and I had to take a shower and all this shit. So this is all to say that if you see me doing a Raid Shadow Legends sponsorship before my next trip to Japan, that's why. I'm definitely just gonna do sponsors right before every flight and then just pay for first class. Cause like, dude, oh my God, it was the best. It was the best. Oh, I fucking love it. So sorry, you guys have to deal with more sponsors. My first class to Japan was $780. That was it? That's like 1,000 times worth it. Okay, I looked, I'm planning on going to Japan in like 4 months. I literally on the flight, I was like, oh my God, how much does it cost? I wanna fly first class again. And I think it costs like $5,000 each way. So I think the New Zealand one is more expensive than normal. It seems like 8,000 a person is like more expensive. Oh wait, no, 8,000 is round trip, right? So it's 8,000 round trip per person. And then I think it was 5,000 round trip for first class to Japan. Anyways, I'm probably gonna try to do that. And it's worth doing sponsors just for that. But it sounds like maybe I could get it even cheaper. I don't know. No, I am not going to charge you guys more Texas Beach money. It is more effective to make money to just do a sponsor, by the way, than to like squeeze you guys for more money. I also I would rather some company pays me money to talk about them and then I get to fly first class rather than demand a bunch of money from you guys. You know what I mean? Did you just call us poor? No, a lot of you guys have a lot of money as evidenced by how much you spend on Texas Beach. It's just the principle of the matter. I would rather some, random company, I would rather Opera GX pays for my first class ticket rather than asking my community to do it. Because to be clear, this is still incredibly gratuitous. Like spending $8,000, like that's still a shitload of money. And it's like, this is really gratuitous and I don't need to do it. But if like a company is willing to just give me money, then yes. But like, this isn't important enough to want to like ask my audience for money. You know what I mean? Anyway, that was the travel stories from the last few weeks. Just buy us all first class. Dude, it was crazy. Like, the most important thing to me is the bed, honestly. Because that's the thing that changes it from like, I am insanely sleep deprived for like 2 to 3 straight days to I am ready to go when I get there, which is like a huge deal, right? The bed is the big one. You got a taste of the rich life. It was awesome. Doug has started his rich man villain arc. Also, I should be clear. I can afford this. The question is not whether I can afford this. I'm not going into credit card debt or anything. I'm doing very well financially. I can afford this. The question is it worth it from like a philosophical perspective? Is it worth spending a shit ton of money for a flight? And it turns out probably, yeah. It's strictly a matter of principle of like, do I want to spend my money on this? Children in Africa could fly first class if it wasn't for your greedy ass. I don't think that's how it works.
What if you were streaming a big stream challenge and you had to shit really bad? Like, couldn't leave, but you really had to shit. What would you do?
You know what? I'm gonna cross that bridge when I get there. I don't know, actually. I want to say that I would not shit my pants on stream, and I can't honestly look you in the eyes and say that. I don't know.